Hi there, welcome. I'm Melissa. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's an exciting video. I'm excited for it because I get to talk about plants that I absolutely love. I apologize if this makes you want to buy more plants after this video. But yeah, this is going to be a video of my top 15. I have 15 plants to show you that are kind of like my favorites right now. I have a pretty good selection to show you as well. I feel like it's a good mix. I'm going to get started here. This is in no particular order. I am just going to randomly pick a plant, show you, talk about it, and move on. So yeah, we have 15 to get through. So I'm going to try and keep it a couple minutes per plant so this video isn't crazy long. So let's get started with our first one. It is a super bright and sunny day in my plant room today. The sun is out in full force. I am wearing a sweater because it is very cold. It got down to 39 degrees last night here in Savannah, which is crazy. So first up is probably, yeah, this is my favorite plant that I own right now. I acquired this plant not too long ago and it has become my absolute favorite plant. This is none other than Monstera mint. This is a NOID mint, so a NOID, and it's not from tissue culture. It's done absolutely amazing ever since I got it, and it still has all the leaves. It actually has a new one, which is this one here. Right here is the first leaf in my care, and it's beautiful. It's like a half moon. This is the biggest leaf here. This was kind of unfurling before it was shipped to me. It has really dark green. It's a different green than like Monstera Albo. It's very beautiful. And the white on this, it's like a creamy minty color, obviously because it's a mint, but it's beautiful. I can't describe this Monstera. The Monstera Aria and Albo have been like my favorite plants for so long, but this one just, I don't know, it's just the cherry on top. I just love this plant so much, and I'm just so glad I purchased her. And look at that stem. Look at the mint though on that. I put this plant into pond probably a couple weeks after I got this plant. I have a Monstera Albo in pond at the window and it's freaking huge. I'm actually going to chop it soon. The newest leaf is like hitting the ceiling, and because it was growing so well in pond, I wanted this one to go in pond. It is growing in a ton of roots there. Try not to spill the water. It had a pretty significant root system when I put it in here, but it's grown a ton of new roots in pond. So now that we are technically in November, it's kind of off season. I'm curious how well this plant is going to grow over the winter months. I was excited to see like, oh, is it going to push another new leaf soon? But it's definitely not ready yet. I can pretty much tell. I'm pretty good at guessing when they're going to push a new leaf, but it's not ready yet. I feel like once it's done kind of focusing down here, it's going to then focus on pushing a new leaf. But it is beautiful. It is still pristine. I love it so, so, so much. I have her currently down. You might see her after this. I have her down on the floor in front of my Michelitzianas and stuff right down there. So I have a light in front and then obviously getting ambient light in my plant room. Since it is like winter, the sun sits lower, so it is like really coming in, but during like spring and summer, it's not as intense in here with the light. So yeah, she seems really, really happy so far. And yeah, definitely like one of my top favorites right now. If I had to choose any plant in my collection, it would definitely be this one, like if my house was burning down. And it would be one more that I'm going to show you next. Those are probably going to be like my top two plants right now. I want the full mint. I really do. It's going to be, I'm going to make a wish list video for next year, but the full mint is on my wish list. I still have my tissue culture. I actually chopped it, so I have 3 cuttings and they are growing. So the bottom cutting is actually pushing like a full mint leaf. That's the one that I severed all those like tissue culture babies from. So I have the mid cutting that is rerouting growth. The top cutting, those are still in water and it's pushed a new leaf, but it's all green, which is interesting. But the bottom cut is pushing full mint. So I'm very curious about that. Yeah, I'm gonna be on the lookout from this seller that I got this plant from for a full mint, because I will be tempted to get it next year. Stunning. Just no words. Stunning. We have a Luna that has joined us. She's probably gonna sit on my lap. So up next is an Alocasia, and this is one that I acquired this year as well, but this I actually got as a corm. Didn't know what the variegation was gonna do. Didn't even know if it was gonna survive. I just took a chance. I bought it, and within a span of, I think I got this corm in August, and it is now November. September, October, November. Within a span of like 3 months, I have a full-blown gorgeous plant. It is insane, absolutely insane how fast this thing has grown. And it's pushing another new leaf. It literally just gave me the most perfect leaf. Excuse you. She's sitting on my microphone. So this here is Alocasia Regal Shields. It is the Albo, and it has the most beautiful variegation. It is a mix of dark green, light green, in this creamy color, and purple, like a purple gray tone. And I'm gonna show you what I mean by the purple. Look at that. Look at that color. I mean, just look at that leaf. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning variegation. So these are this was the first leaf, I think. It was either this one or this one. I'll put a photo of the first leaf that sprouted. I think it took about 5 weeks or so, maybe less, and it sprouted, and that was like the first little leaf. And then the next one was a little bit smaller. I think this was the second one. And then the third one was all green. So when this one popped out, I'm like, oh no, is it reverting? I'm like, oh no, please don't. And then this one came out here, this one, and look at that variegation. I just was so excited. I'm like, yes, look at that color. And then this one spit out, and this one, they got even more beautiful. And this newest one it's just so pretty. It has so many tones. Like, look at that. Stunning, stunning, stunning. I am gonna be upsizing this one soon. I have it growing in pond, semi-hydro, and you can see it is very, very well rooted. Now, I do have a regular Regal Shields Alocasia. It's actually up there. It's freaking massive. I'm gonna be taking the Alocasia out of my plant room probably next spring, because I don't have room for these huge plants, like all of them in my plant room. So I'm probably gonna let that one grow outside and see how it does. I have an Alocasia out there right now, and I'm kind of testing it because our winters do get cold. I actually covered some plants last night because it dropped down to 30s. So if the Alocasia that I have out there does okay, I'm gonna probably keep that one outside year round, and hopefully it acclimates to a bit lower temperatures over like December and January, because yeah, it's huge. They get freaking massive. And I have that one in semi-hydro as well, and it needs an upsize. It's so root bound. It sucks up water within like 4 or 5 days. Same with this one. This is completely empty, and I just watered it not that long ago, so I'm gonna have to add more water in here. It's crazy, like these plants, how quickly they suck up water and grow. So yes, this is definitely my top Alocasia right now if I had to choose any from my collection. These are still very expensive in price. It is up there. I definitely took a chance on getting a corm. I have experience growing corms. I know some still rot on me, but for the most part, like I grow a lot of corms for my plant shop. I felt confident enough to spend money on a corm. It was still a very expensive corm, but way cheaper than buying a plant, you know, with one little leaf. And that's the thing, it's like I'm gonna be, you know, growing out the corms from this plant and having them for my own shop. I just feel like I got so incredibly lucky with this Alocasia. The genes on it, just incredible. She's so beautiful, absolutely beautiful. No words. Really easy, honestly. Alocasia, Regal Shields has been so easy. My Regal Shield obviously lives in more ambient. This one I have in my Ikea cabinet, which is roughly, it's the same temperature wise, it just gets a little bit more light, and humidity is just a little bit higher in my cabinet, but not by a lot. But with this leaf here, I'm gonna have to move her out. I'm gonna stick her, this one's already hitting the top of the cabinet. So I'm gonna have to move this plant out very soon. But yeah, one of my top alocasia right now, just these two plants. Yeah, if my house is burning down, these two plants would be the two that I'm grabbing to take with me. And the kitties, of course. Huh, and the babies. I'll be back in just a second. I gotta swap my battery out and give Luna some cuddles, and I'll be back with 13 more plants to show you. Next up is a Syngonium. I kind of have fallen out of love with Syngonium, but this one doesn't look like the typical Syngonium. This is the Chiapense variegated, and another like chef's kiss when it comes to variegation. I feel like the genetics on mine is pretty good. I feel like the newest leaf though looks to be pretty green. And someone told me that these can revert pretty easily, which I did not know. So I was a little sad when I heard that. But hopefully the variegation continues and it, you know, continues to grow well for me. This was actually a propagation that I took from the original plant. So this is one that I got earlier this year as well. And it was like a top cutting. I had waited for it to grow a couple leaves, which I think this one and this one. And then I ended up cutting it. So I have the bottom cut and it's actually now starting to regrow. I think it's given me 3 new leaves. And so this is like all new growth since I took the top cutting of the top cutting. This leaf here is gorgeous. Look at that. I love sectoral variegation, like chunks of variegation. It's one of my absolute favorites. And this plant just displays that variegation beautifully. And I love the tones. That one has a little bit at the top. But yeah, this new one looks to be all green, which I'm kind of sad about. So this is my plant that I want to keep for my personal collection. And the bottom cutting that I have, once it kind of regrows, I'm going to chop it back to propagate. And it's going to be like my propagating plant per se. But yeah, I'm excited to have this one be beautiful and tall in my collection. And I'll eventually have to prop it back. And I need to find a different stake situation. I think I'm going to add a core pole in here and let it climb up a core pole. I have it currently in an aeroid mix, and I just have a little plastic stake in here for now, but I definitely need a better support. But it's just been a favorite of mine. I have this one in my Ikea cabinet right now, and I just look at the variegation and I love it so much. It's just so unique. It seems to be pretty easygoing so far. I haven't had any issues with it. I feel like it's been growing pretty steadily too. Not as quickly as like the Alocasia, but it's been growing pretty well for me, I would say. I was just thinking I probably need to water this again. Everything in my Ikea cabinet dries out so quickly because it's so freaking warm in there. It's a very beautiful Syngonium. I want more leaves like that. Very beautiful. Gorgeous plant. So Syngonium Chiapense variegated. I'm going to turn you a little bit that way because that sun coming in is very bright. So the next plant is starting to grow a little bit more, and I'm so excited about this one. So this one I started from a tissue culture. Was it last fall? So this has been about a year's worth of growth from a tiny little tissue culture plant, one of those little packets. And it's steadily growing. I will say it's been somewhat of a slow, well, no, I feel like it's been a pretty fast grower. Not as fast as some of my other plants, but it's been steady. It's none other than Monstera Burle Marx Flame. So I follow this account on Instagram, and they have one of the most beautiful flames ever. And they posted a reel recently where their newest leaf had fenestrated. I mean, like a tiny hole. The mature leaves are so beautiful. And I finally, the newest leaf just got my double fenestration here. Look at that. Stunning. I love the veining, how it kind of goes downward is beautiful. So these bottom leaves, I actually have the very first original leaf that popped out is yellowing. I'm leaving it on until it goes. I could probably pluck it off, but these are some of the tiny, tiny leaves. And then, yeah, they got a little bit bigger, a little bit. This one's probably thirsty. Let me see. Oh no, it's not thirsty yet. I have this one in an aeroid mix. It's rooting pretty well. I sized it up not too long ago, so it's going to stay in this pot for a while. And then I have a clear pole that I'm kind of using for support. I started doing this method now, and you can see some of the aerial roots have actually grown back down into the substrate. So that's going to encourage this plant to get more nutrients, climb better and everything. I actually need to go ahead and extend it. It's at the top. I like this empty pole method, but it's not the most steady when you get a really tall plant. Any more than like 3-4 of these, it starts to get pretty wobbly. I grew a lot of my moss poles. I still have a lot of my poles on the plastic method, and yeah, they do get a little top heavy, especially when you have really large leaves and really large stems. It's just way too heavy to support. So I might eventually switch it out for just a core pole. I think 2025 is going to be the year of the core poles for me. I am no longer interested in doing moss poles. I love them at one point, but honestly, they're just too much maintenance for me now. If I had more time dedicated solely to caring for my plants and I didn't have a plant shop to run, I feel like I would be more into poles, but now my collection has changed in a sense that I need easygoing plant maintenance, and I love chopping my plants back now to grow small plants to sell. So having these like massive plants in my collection also take up a lot of space. I enjoy the big plants that I have on poles, but as far as starting new poles, they're either going to be an empty pole, a stake, or a core pole that I don't have to water, because I can't do that anymore. And if I ever want to chop, and restart my plant, what I'll do is just air layer so that I can have like a healthy root system, do the chop, plant, and then it can still continue to grow and size up. And then I'm not having to like water it all the time, if that makes sense. And then I can just propagate the rest of the plant, grow it, and sell it. So yeah, here's kind of the full view of it. So it gave me a lot of single leaves, single, and then I had my first finny, one finny, one finny, one finny, one finny, and then I have my first 2 finny. So it seems to be growing pretty well. Like I said, I have it in front of my window there, so it's getting pretty intense light right now. And so far, I feel like it seems to enjoy it. I do kind of eventually, I think once it outgrows, I'll probably do 2 more layers, and then eventually I'm going to have to chop it, and I'll probably get rid of all the single growth down here, because this part here is very beautiful. So it's definitely a plant that I'm looking forward to for next year, and having beautiful mature leaves on this plant. I cannot wait. I feel like these have come down in price a little bit. Like a small starter plant, they're not as expensive as they once were, but if you were to get like a bigger like specimen like this, they're still pretty expensive. But yeah, if you've been eyeing one and you love Monsteras and you love the shape of this one, definitely go for it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I love Monstera, and it's definitely one that I had dreamed about having, and I just love it. I love it so much. I'm kind of showing the plants that are here in my plant room first, and then I'll go out there, grab the plants, and bring them in here. I have 2 Alocasia that are on this list that are currently in my plant room, and that's it for the Alocasia, so I'm going to show both of those next. The next Alocasia that I have absolutely just adored this year, I have 2 of them, is the pink Bambino Variegated. I got these from 2 different places, from 2 different sizes, and it's amazing how I'm like surprised. The one on the right, believe it or not, this one here, I got as a tiny little thing. I didn't know the variegation. I didn't know what it was going to do, but look at those leaves. Look at that variegation. I got so incredibly lucky. It took a while to size up. And once it did and it started growing well, it's amazing the color on this one and the genetics. I do have a lot of green, like green leaves, but I have a lot of good colored leaves. I do have a few corms that I'm growing out and it's promising. They're showing really good genetics. And this one I got because I didn't think this one had good color because the pink didn't really start growing until some of these larger leaves came in. So I was kind of sad about that. I'm like, I really want a very pink one. So that's why I ended up getting a second one. And I honestly love them both. And this one still has like a good mix of green and pink. A lot of the pink leaves that were down here have kind of died. So it doesn't look as pink as it did, but some of these leaves, this is the biggest one. So beautiful. Look at that all pink one here. Beautiful. Just gorgeous. They're honestly so beautiful. I'm gonna keep them as separate plants in my collection. I thought about letting one go and I'm like, no, you know what? These are tiny alocasia and I need tiny plants in my life. Everything is so big, like that freaking huge alocasia back there and my El Choco back there. And although I love these big plants and what they've grown into, they take up a lot of space. So I love like tinier plants. So I love them both. They're just beautiful. I feel like these have come down in price a little bit too, the pink Bambinos. I'm really happy with both of them. They're super easygoing alocasia. I have them both growing in pond. I grow all my alocasia in pond. This one isn't as rooted as this one. The pot on this one is smaller. I feel like the only thing with this plant is edema can show on the leaves pretty easily. On this alocasia, I guess just from all the pink. And I really only get edema when I'm freshly watering. And so what I've started doing is letting them go a little bit more dry and not leaving as much water in the reservoir. You may have to water them a little bit more frequently if you don't leave as much water and it's getting more rooted and it's drinking it up more quickly. But yeah, if you notice edema, I would just back off on your watering for a bit and it should help. They haven't mind drying out, either of them. They both have a little bit of water in here. But yeah, I let them go completely dry. Sometimes accidentally because they just dry before I can water them, but they don't seem to mind. Yeah, very, very beautiful alocasia. I love the pink and I love the underside too. You see the light pink, but on the underside, it's like a dark pink. It's very pretty. Very, very pretty. Yeah, if you've been eyeing this plant, I definitely say go for it. Just based off my experience with it, it's been pretty easygoing. So yeah, I definitely recommend. Okay, Luna is taking over my entire chair. Excuse you, Luna. Next up, I'm kind of sad that it started blooming. It's none other than the Alocasia Pink Black Velvet. Mine has 5 leaves right now. Stunning, stunning alocasia. I wanted this one for so long. It's done really well. The only thing that I'm having an issue with is it doesn't seem to maintain or hold on to its leaves for very long. These actually have probably stayed on the longest, but all the original leaves, like this plant looked completely different earlier this year when I got it. Yeah, it would put out a new leaf and then it would kill the older leaf, even in semi-hydro, which is kind of weird. Normally when I put alocasias in pond, it stops doing that and they don't do that anymore. But it just really didn't seem to maintain any of the older leaves. So they're pretty big size leaves on this plant now. Like they're all relatively a huge size. And I got really good color. I feel like this leaf here is gorgeous. It had really good leaves, the smaller leaves. Some of them were so pretty. But unfortunately it is blooming right now. It's the first bloom and I actually think there's multiple in here coming in, but you can see the bloom there. I normally cut these off, but I think I'm gonna let this one bloom for a little bit and see what it does. I've actually never tried crossing my alocasia like Anthurium. I don't have any other alocasia in bloom -1 up there right now, but I think the blooms are drying up on it. So I don't know. I've never tried to do that with an alocasia before, but that would be pretty cool if I could with this one. So yeah, I'm just gonna see what it does, but if it affects the growth any, I know blooms take a lot of energy away, and usually the growth after is a little bit more small and everything. At least my big Monstera adansonii, when it bloomed, like it's now pushed out. It's gonna be pushing out its 4th leaf since the bloom, but they like drastically size down. It's amazing. But they do take a lot of energy away, so I normally cut them off. And sometimes you get several blooms in a row, so it takes a while, I feel like, before it starts to push a leaf again. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I've just been a little sad that it didn't hold on to any of the lower leaves, and I do need to upsize this one soon. Well, not that I feel like need to upsize it. I just want to get it in a clear vessel is kind of what I was thinking, because I do want to go corm digging on this plant, and I have a feeling now that it's more mature, it's going to have some corms down. Yes, my love. But yeah, I pulled some corms off the top, but I want to go digging in here, and I kind of wanted to put it into a clear vessel, self-watering. So that's kind of the plan with this one. I have a couple other alocasia that I want to take care of, so I might do that for a video coming up. So if you're interested, probably a video for December, I'll do like an alocasia care day. But yeah, very beautiful alocasia. I'm going to grow out a second corm from this plant and keep it as like a second alocasia black velvet pink one in my collection. But the corms have been really slow to get started. At least the ones that I've taken off, they haven't sprouted yet. So whenever I get some babies growing, I'll sell, like obviously sell the rest and everything. But I'm excited to have like another one for my personal collection because it's a really beautiful alocasia. Hey, all right, Luna child, I gotta get up again. All right, all the other plants are out of my plant room, so I'm gonna grab those and bring them in here, and we'll show you the rest. I don't even know what number we are on. I have a feeling this video is gonna be actually really long. I feel like I'm talking a lot, so yeah, we still have a lot to go, so I'll be back in just a second. Moving along is this beauty here. This is Philodendron. My only Philodendron on the list, surprisingly, is Caramel Marble. But do you see what happened? It gave me an all green leaf. So this one here that spit out was stunning. This was on my wish list for this year, and I had to have it. It's kind of wobbly here. I probably need to add a stake in here. Beautiful genetics, I feel like. It's just beautiful. All these little leaves. So I think this one was the one that was unfurling when I got it, and then it gave me this leaf, which had like a decent amount of color. And then this leaf here really sized up compared to this one. Like that one, and then it started to get some of those ripples. And so this is the latest leaf. And I saw it was all green. I'm like, no. But it is pushing a new one here. So hopefully it has some good color. Sticky, the sap on it. But yeah, this is one that I was wanting for so long, and I wasn't sure I wanted it because I have a Ring of Fire, but the coloration on the caramel marbles are so pretty. So I'm really hoping this is one that grows well for me next year. I'm really looking forward to this one, and I'm so excited, especially if I get more leaves that look like this. I just love the waviness and everything. The tone is gorgeous. I have this one. Why is that so floppy? What the heck? I have this one in my airwide mix, and it's actually rooted very well in here. It came to me as, you know, like a small plant with these leaves, and it was in, I think, like a 2 or 3 inch pot. It was pretty tiny. And so I upsized it gently. I went ahead and put it in a 4 inch. I wasn't going to include this one on my list because of this leaf. I'm like, what the heck? Why did you do this to me? But I don't know. It's one that I know I'm going to love and adore next year, especially if I get some beautiful variegation, which I feel like I am because all these leaves have beautiful color. I don't know if these revert easily. Do you guys know? Do these plants, are they known to revert? Because that would be very sad if that happened. But yeah, it's a beautiful philo. I wish I had gotten one sooner. So pretty, beautiful. I cannot wait till I get those big leaves like this. I have this one in a cabinet in my red stub right now. So I'm gonna have to move it out pretty soon because these leaves are getting a little close to the light in there. I might actually move this one to my Mills bow and let it stay in there for a bit until it outgrows it, then I'll transition it out here. So beautiful philodendron. I love this one. Next up is a begonia. I don't own that many begonias in my collection. This is one that I got, again, a newer one this year. And it has grown beautifully, beautifully. Look at her. Look at that. It is a begonia snow-capped variegated. This begonia is stunning, you guys. Absolutely stunning. Gorgeous. Look at that. These leaves that have grown in are just, yeah, I have no words. So I did actually propagate this one on my channel in a video. I took a cutting here, I think right here somewhere. And so this here is new growth since I took that cutting, this blip here. It didn't activate anything lower on this stem. There's 2 stems in here. So I might actually cut this one back. As of right now, like this one vine is growing. It might be shooting out a different growth point here, which would be kind of cool to kind of fill this plant out a bit more. The pink on this plant and the variegation, like, look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous begonia. If you have been eyeing this begonia and you are a begonia girly, get this begonia. You will not be disappointed. I haven't repotted it yet. It's still in the original mix that I bought it in. What I did was just transferred it. It came in a plasticky type cup, like a thin one, and so I just moved it to a harder plastic. But I do need to upsize it because I feel like it gets thirsty quite a bit because it is so tiny. It has very, very fine roots. The cuttings that I took, I had 4. 2 of them didn't make it. I think they just rotted, and I had rooted them in water. And so one is doing okay, it's growing, and the other one, I don't know if that one's gonna make it. So I'm not the best at propagating begonia. So I think it's gonna take practice for me. I feel like they do fine rooting, it's just transferring them. They didn't do well transferring, I feel like. I might practice again. I might take this cutting here and practice with it and try and propagate it again. And like I said, just leave this growing for me. I guess I'll have to get it staked, maybe, but I kind of like it trailing. I have a big, beautiful Begonia maculata. It's in my dining area and it's in water. I'm growing it hydroponically and it is huge and it's kind of trailing and cascading down, and I love that effect. So I feel like this one actually look really cute trailing. So I might let it do that. I just need to fill it out. I feel like it's been pretty easy going. It's grown pretty quickly. Like I said, I haven't really done anything with it. I just water it when I water my cabinets, which is the one out there I usually water once a week. The one in my plant room I water twice a week, and it's just under Barina light in my Redsta, and that's it. And in my Redsta, it's not crazy high humidity. It's maybe 60, if that. So I don't even feel like this one requires too high of humidity or anything. It seems to do well. But yeah, I just need practice propagating, but it's a beautiful, beautiful begonia. Next up, I'm going to show you 4 different Hoyas that are kind of at the top of my list, and then I have 2 Anthurium to show you. I had to narrow down my Anthurium because I just recently have been on an Anthurium kick and set up all my Anthurium out to the dining room. So there's so many that I love. I got so many new ones recently, so I feel like I haven't had time to really... A lot of them are small and some I've had for a while, but I haven't really had time to be with them long enough and to grow them yet. So I can't really include them, but there are a couple Anthurium that I really have been enjoying lately, but I'll show those at the end. But I'll go ahead and show you the 4 Hoya really quick. Up first is this cutie here. This is Hoya Mathilde Splash, and this one is pretty splashy, I would say. Now I do have a second Hoya Mathilde that I got first, and that one I actually need to pot up. It's in stratum, and it's not as splashy. I have propagated that several times, so I ended up finding a seller who was selling very splashy cuttings. And so the growth that has come in has been pretty splashy. Not as splashy as some of the original leaves, but it is a beautiful Hoya Mathilde. I have always wanted this Hoya. Like, look at that splash, you guys. Look how stunning. Especially this leaf here. Do you see that? Like, look at that. Those were the original leaves that I bought, and the growth. I mean, it's still pretty splashy. I would say majority of the leaves on this one are extremely splashy. And I love the trailing vibe that it's doing. I don't think I'm gonna trellis this one. I don't know if the leaves were to size down when it trails. Do Hoya do that? I was gonna say, I don't really have many trailing Hoya. My Polyneura is trailing. I have been on a Hoya kick this year as well, so I have acquired a lot of Hoya this year. And I definitely feel like I'm still on a Hoya kick. Like, there's still Hoya that I want and everything. And they're so easy to propagate, so I like having a good variety of Hoya. But this Hoya is so pretty. It's beautiful. I don't plan on propagating this one. Eventually I might, but I really want like this to be a beautiful Hoya in my collection. I might eventually, you know, take some cuttings here and there, but I want to keep this one pretty full. I have this one in, I just watered this one not that long ago, so it's pretty wet, in an aroid mix. Pretty much all of my Hoya are in an aroid mix, minus, there's one I'm going to show you that's in pond, and I have some that were dealing with mealies that were pretty much a propagation, and I stuck those in pond. But I like Hoyas in an aroid mix. I just like that for these guys for some reason. The one in pond I'm going to show you really seems to love it. I'm excited to show you that one because it's another one that I got this year that is growing like crazy and blooming like crazy. But yeah, this one is so pretty. I love these leaves. So beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful Hoya. I cannot wait for blooms. I know it'll probably be a while, but yeah, it's gorgeous. I had this one in my plant room for a while, but I just moved it to my Redsta because I freed up a lot of space in there when I moved my Anthurium out. So I have a lot of Hoya in my Redsta now. Beautiful. Love this one. I have a lot of Hoya that I really wanted to show you guys, but I did narrow it down. But I was just looking at another one. I'm like, ooh, this one is a favorite as well, but that's okay. But next up here is, look, it's a Hoya Multiflora. It actually is the variegated one, but look at the first blooms. We are so close, so close. I have wanted a Hoya Multiflora for so long, and I don't know why I just didn't get one sooner. Well, I did purchase one, I think it was it late last year? And it ended up being the wrong Hoya. It wasn't a Multiflora. When I showed it in my houseplant tour and I called it a Multiflora, several pointed out that it wasn't. So I went and I really wanted one. So I did a search for one, and I was gonna buy a regular one, but then I came across this variegated one, and I'm like, perfect, it's variegated, and you know, it had a peduncle, so it was like kind of a mature cutting, I guess you could say. And there might be another peduncle maybe wanting to come in at the very top, but look, I cannot wait for those blooms to open. I'm going to get a picture as soon as this opens. But we are so close. I think a couple of them blasted and fell off, but I feel like these ones are actually going to open. And I feel like they're going to be so cool to see. I love the foliage as well, which is like a bonus because I love the outer variegation and I love the rippling of the leaves. I think the leaves are really beautiful along with the blooms on this one. Some of these original leaves had a couple specks of what, I don't know what that is, but it hasn't continued to spread on any of the newer growth. So I just kind of left them. I didn't treat this plant or anything. But yeah, I don't see any of that continuing. So I don't know if that's just some bruising or whatever that happened, but these are some older leaves here. And then all this here is like new growth that has come in. But yeah, I have just been obsessing over this Hoya. This one's in my aroid mix, which is a tree fern base. It really seems to love it. So yes, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I probably will eventually prop this one, but not for some time because I want to let this one grow out and then I will propagate it. She's a beauty. She is a beauty. Next Hoya to show you is this beauty right here. Look at how beautiful. Look at those blooms. I think that's the most exciting thing about this Hoya. This is Hoya Decipulae. I have so many peduncles and blooms on this one. I received this Hoya earlier this year as a cutting. It was a gifted cutting that somebody so generously gave me, and it didn't have any roots at all. She did let me know that it enjoyed pon, so I immediately stuck it into pon. It rooted right up and it started blooming almost immediately. Now the cutting did have a peduncle and it started growing ever since, and now I have this like tall tree-like Hoya. Not only do I love the blooms, but the leaves are so pretty. And I wasn't a fan of leafy Hoya initially in the beginning, but this one is really, really beautiful. And this is a Hoya that wasn't even on my radar at the time, and now that I have it and I'm growing it, I absolutely love it to death. And the blooms are just so cool. Look how cool they are. They're so unique. And I did take a cutting and I rooted it and grew it. And this is where I took the cutting, right there. I cut it right there, and this is like a new node that's now growing. So it's one long vine and then it shot out the second vine. So I wanted to include this one because I love it and everything, but I am going to be propping it soon. So I wanted to show it before I took some cuttings. I think I'm going to cut it back. I might cut it back to like here, like halfway. I don't want to cut more than half. So I plan on doing, I like to take maybe like 4 cuttings or so, I think, to have to grow out. And since this one, I took one tiny little cutting and it did well, and I was able to root it and grow it. So now I'm confident that I can propagate this Hoya. So yeah, I do want to share this Hoya, and I know it's a Hoya that is on like people's wish list. So yeah, it's a very beautiful Hoya. I can see why, and it really seems to enjoy semi-hydro. Oh, look at the wick, it's all algae filled. I have this one sitting in my east window. I actually need to add some water in here. So it does get, I feel like, a good amount of morning sun. Right now, the east light coming in is very intense in the mornings in my east window, so it does get some good amount of light. So I don't know if that's like encouraged the growth on this Hoya, but yeah, I adore this Hoya so much. Next Hoya on the list is a Polyneura variety. I love this one the most. I have 4 different Polyneuras in my collection, or 5, no wait, 1, 2, 3, no, I have 5 different Polyneura varieties. And so this one's my favorite out of the bunch. This is the outer variegated, and mine is growing in so much white. It is stunning. I've propagated this probably 3 or 4 times now, and I recently cut it on this side, and this is a new node that's coming in. And so by me chopping it here, well, this one also self-propagates. It'll grow new nodes on its own without chopping. And so it decided to grow in another node on this side, but it's on the white, it's growing all white down here again. So I have a white node growing in here. And this one was like doing some half moons, and then this was like some green, white, and then it did another like green one up here, and then everything else since has been white. I think that's why I like this one so much, because it's so white and it's so pretty. But the only thing, it makes propagating this plant hard. So I think I am going to invest in one that isn't as variegated so that I can propagate and have more cuttings. Because yeah, I can't really propagate this one because I'll cut this one back and then it takes a bit to regrow and I have to let it grow and then I cut it back. So yeah, I am going to purchase one for next year as like a secondary Polyneura in my collection because, again, I want this one to grow for my personal collection. Plants that I really love, I have a hard time chopping because I want them to be big and beautiful. So yeah, I mean, I could take a cutting from here and root it and start a second plant, but I feel like that would take a while. So I might look for one that's more full and prop it. But it is beautiful. I love the Polyneura. I do have this one up on a trellis just for now, but my other one is trailing. And I love the way that it trails and it cascades down. Because I eventually will probably let this one trail. Like, look how beautiful that is trailing. It's so pretty. Tell me that is not a beautiful Hoya. My absolute fave. I don't know. There's just something about the Polyneura. I have the inner variegated, which I like too, but I just like the all white that this one is doing. I have the brochet silver. I have the silver. 1, 2, 3. Maybe I only have 4. I thought I had a 5th one. I don't remember now. But yes, this one's my favorite. Okay, moving on from Hoya, even though I had more, that is okay. Oh, you know what? I forgot to show you one before the Anthurium. I just now realized it. Okay, after I show you these 2 Anthuriums, I'll show you, it's a moss pole that I wanted to show you. Shucks, I can't believe I forgot about that one. That's okay, I'll show you that one at the end. So I have 2 Anthurium to show you. And again, because Anthurium, I've always loved Anthurium, but I had a lot of the classics for a while, like Clarinervium, Crystallinum, Fergitii, Magnificum. They were just, to me, I consider those just like, I don't know, just ones that I've had for a while. I didn't have like any unique cool hybrids. And now I've gotten so many hybrids, I just can't wait for them to grow so I can see them develop and all their characteristics and everything. I've just fallen in love with Anthurium lately. But this one I grabbed because, I don't know, I just really like this one. This is Anthurium Michelle by Doc Block. It is beautiful. And this is the newest leaf here, and it's put out a couple leaves in my care. This one, and this one, and then there's some original leaves here. I recently potted this one up, and it's growing in some nice healthy roots there. I put it in a pretty big container. This is a 5-inch, and it came, I think, well, actually it came in a 4-inch. I just put it into my aeroid mix, and yeah, I'm excited to get big leaves on this one. I feel like this one is still expanding a little bit. I don't think it's fully hardened off yet. It still feels pretty thin. And I know these are popping up at the big box store now, I hear and I see, which is so cool. I don't know if they would ever make their way to Savannah, but if I found a Doc Block Michelle, I'd be tempted to get a second one in my collection. I'd be tempted to buy one, I really would. I bought this one from Rare Plant Fairy back before they were on sale now. Now I think you can get these for like $95 on their site, like a starter one. I saw Alocasia Tanderosa there on my last shopping trip, and I hadn't really seen those at the big box store, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cool to see these here, even though they had thrips. I was like, it's still so cool to see them. So yeah, I don't know. If I ever spotted these, I would be tempted. I would be tempted. Yeah, but this one I really love. I love like the dark foliage and the pink veining. Like this one is more hardened off. You can see like the darker tone to the leaf. I love how dark that is. Whereas the newer one is still kind of burning off. It's a little bit lighter in color. But yeah, beautiful Anthurium. Next Anthurium that I just adore is my hybrid I created. I love this Anthurium so much. And I have Anthurium Delta Force beside me, and I want to show you how my hybrid looks compared to the Delta Force. The Delta Force I got not that long ago, and I just love mature Delta Force leaves. And I wasn't going to get one because I have my hybrid. I don't know, I just really wanted a Delta Force too. So let me put Delta Force down. So that's Delta Force, that's the newest leaf. Just the shape, the ruffling on these mature, and just the overall veining. By far, probably one of the prettiest Anthurium I have ever seen. I think this one here next year is going to be just beautiful. I cannot wait for this one to size up. I mean, that's the first new leaf in my care, so it's already got like a pretty good jump start compared to the original leaves that came with it. But I can already see the shape forming, and I know I'm just gonna love this Anthurium so much. But my hybrid here is growing a ton, and I love, I love this one. It's got so many different leaf shapes. It's so interesting. So this is two of my seedlings that I planted. So this is Clarinervium and Pedatoradiatum. And it took so long to get berries and for me to harvest. I got 3 seeds the first round, and I crossed my clary again with my Pedatoradiatum pollen, and I got 5 seeds. 2 of them have sprouted, so I have 3 seedlings right now that I'm going to sell, and then 2 of the seeds have not sprouted. So it is interesting that it took 10, almost 11 months to get those seeds, and 2 of the berries aren't going to grow. What do you mean? Or 2 of the seeds aren't going to grow. So hopefully they sprout, but if they don't sprout, then, or if they do sprout or they don't do well, then I'll probably just get rid of them. I have them in my cabinet beside me. But yeah, I was bummed that 2 of them didn't sprout. But I was going to keep one, but I don't think I will, because I feel like they have different characteristics. But this one is doing some kind of cool lobe thing that I want to show you. Like, look at this new leaf. It has like little hooks right here. Do you see that? Like, look how cool that is. This one here. So some of these have like interesting characteristics like that, how it's doing this little thing here. And this one has it on this side. It's like right here. Oops, you can't see it. But this one has bigger lobes up top. Like, look at that. That is so cool. And this one over here is one of the bigger leaves. It's so pretty. And then some of these over here had like earlobes. That's what I call them. Like, look at that. Like, it's separate little earlobes. It's like Mickey Mouse ears or something. Ugh. But yeah, it's getting big. Since I put 2 plants in here, I do want to separate them, I feel like. I probably should have only put 1 in here. But some of the original smaller leaves are here at the bottom, and then, yeah, it's sized up pretty quickly. So since I have 2 plants, these are 2 new leaves, this one and this one at the same time. And they're very much still expanding. And these are kind of all hardened off here. I had this one on top of my Ikea cabinet for a while, and it kind of grew all weird. But I just moved this one to my dining area, so it's going to get some different light and growing conditions. So I'm excited to see how it's going to do out there. And I'm kind of hoping all the leaves turn to face one direction, because right now it's kind of all over the place. But I would like them to move all forward if I can get it to do that. But yeah, I love this hybrid. It's so unique. This leaf here is just so pretty. This one, I love that. But this new leaf here growing in has its own like little horns. I just think that's so cool. It's so unique. But yeah, I see similar characteristics because it is, you know, Clarinervium and Pedatoradiatum. But because mine doesn't really look like Deltaphorus, I just really wanted a true Deltaphorus. So I got this one, was it a couple months? I think it's been a couple months now. So I got a little seedling because it was cheaper. But yeah, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful Anthurium. I can't wait for this one to grow. I cannot believe I almost forgot about this one. This one, out of all the polls, I feel like this one has been speaking to me the most recently because it's really starting to size up the leaves. This is none other than a Manjula Pothos, and I love this pole. This one actually has been on quite a journey with me. I have a couple videos where I kind of restarted this plant on a moss pole. It was doing like an every other leaf variegation type of thing, and then it just started to grow all green on the tallest, most mature vine, and I didn't want that, so I restarted it, and a couple nodes activated from like me chopping it, and that's what is now like growing on this pole. I do need to probably extend it soon. I have it on it's on 3 layers of Grow Thickly, and Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to extend it soon. One more layer, I'm gonna let it grow to the top of that and then I'll probably chop it. So these are the top leaves here. They've sized up nicely. Not as big as some of my other pothos yet, but it's still like a pretty big size leaf. I love how white that one is. I know the sun's coming in a bit more now. And this newest leaf here looks to be very beautiful. And a lot of the growth down here is kind of small. Way down here at the bottom of the pole, I think I have 3 vines or so. I think there's 1 or 2 that are starting to catch up. So this is the main vine, which all my poles, 1 vine tends to outgrow the pace of the rest. And then I have 1 more kind of down here, and then I have 1 more kind of down here that's growing. So they're all like different. So I think, oh dang, oh wow, look at all those helicopters. Oh, they're like Air Force. Oh, I don't know which ones those are. Oh, there was like 5 of them that flew by. That's so cool. Oh wait, do I have 4 vines? Oh, there is a 4th one here. It's off the pole. I do have 4. But yeah, when I go to chop this, I'll probably chop it to where I can include some of these lower vines, and then I'll just propagate the rest of this up. And I'll just make individual cuttings, you know, for the shop. But yeah, I'll do a photo. I'll insert like a B-roll of the plant in full in the spot so you can kind of see the plant in its entirety, because it's hard to show you the moss poles when they're so big and I only have a small frame to work with. But yeah, this one I've just been loving lately because I'm starting to get those mature leaves, and I love a good old pothos. You guys know I have big Marble Queen and I have big Jessiana. I had moved my golden outside. I'm gonna let that one grow up on a tree, so hopefully that one does okay. I just have too many pothos that are on a pole that I just can't maintain them all. I also have a Pearls and Jade that I'm going to take off a pole. It's like 2 layers, and I keep chopping the top of it because I haven't extended it, and then I was dealing with the ant situation with my poles. So I'm going to just take that one off. I'm just going to propagate it, and I have my like trailing basket of that one. And yeah, I'm really selective with my poles now. I can't have too many to maintain because it's a lot. Honestly, I can't wait to chop her. I can't wait to get even bigger leaves on this one. I just love the Manjula leaves. They're so unique. I hope you enjoyed my favorites. I guess you could call this kind of the end of your favorites. I was really just wanting to do a favorites video because I haven't done one in a while, and I don't know, it was kind of nice to like pick and choose plants that I really love right now. And I know there's so many more that I wanted to show you, but I know this video is already probably an hour long. But yeah, I just love so many plants. I just love plants, but I've gotten a lot of new ones this year that I just adore, and I'm excited to see what a lot of these are gonna do for me next year, and I can't wait. And yeah, if there's any of these plants that you were wanting and are on your wish list, maybe you can cross one off soon, maybe for the holidays. And yeah, if there's a splurge that you want to treat yourself with, I say go for it. You won't be disappointed. I love all these plants, and I feel like out of all the ones that I showed you, none of them are really finicky, and they've just done so well since I've had them, even though some are newer and some have been a bit stubborn to grow, like the Manjula. Yeah, I'm excited to do my wish list for next month, so stay tuned if you want to see my wish list for next year and you want to see a recap of all the wish list plants that I got from this year. Stay tuned for those. So again, thank you so much for watching and for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you again very soon.